Welcome to Homemaker Chic Podcast. We are here again this Monday, rescuing the art of homemaking from the daily grind. Last week we had a riot talking about chores around the house and how to make them sing, and that if your work, a woman's work, is never done, like, don't stress about it. Just do your very best and make it sing. This week, we're going to go a little deeper. We're going to talk about making our interactions with our children sing, because I don't know about you, but I've had some really beautiful and some really gnarly interactions with my children. And sometimes I got to tell you, that verse, like the wise woman builds her house and the foolish woman tears it down, that one haunts me. So today we're going to talk about communicating with our children. We're going to dive deep. Before we do that, we'd like to thank this season's sponsor, Dry Farm Wines. For those of you that are looking for a low alcohol content, no sugar added, no GMO yeast, just want to have a nice glass of red wine with your steak at night, and you're looking for better, not more, we invite you to try Dry Farm Wines with our code, or with our link, actually, dryfarmwines.com/homemaker chic. You're going to get an extra bottle for a penny. So if you've never tried them before, I'm going to keep this brief today. I invite you to try them, because for those of you that are doing paleo or keto, or you're just trying to clean up what's happening in the kitchen and you still want to have a glass of wine with your husband on Friday night, like this is what we're talking about. So visit dryfarmwines.com/homemaker chic. And if it's your first time, they're going to treat you to an extra bottle for a penny, which is really, really fun. You can choose red, white, dry, delicious, bubbly, you name it. But thank you so much to Dry Farm for sponsoring season 23 of Homemaker Chic Podcast. Our theme is Make It Sing. So she can make it sing too. She's also a really good singer. This is my cousin, my best cousin. I'm looking at, like, my favorite people on the screen right now. You can find her on Instagram, Darla Innes. You can find her at Darla_Innes, INSIS_therapist. My cousin and LSW licensed therapist, Darla Innes, is joining us for the second time. Yay! Yep. You're like the official Homemaker Chic therapist. It's official.
I'm just, you guys just have me on call.
Okay.
That's fine.
Right. Help!
Yeah.
I was just thinking, do you know what I communicated to my children before we started recording was, I would like you to go up to the freezer and I would like you to get me out a package of steaks, because for dinner, I am having wine and steak tonight,
right.
Just so you know.
Just so you know. Go get them.
And luckily they listened. So far, so good.
Till they bring you a chuck roast.
Oh gosh. Shave it off.
It's true. No, but look, we're talking about making it sing, and nothing can make a home more sour more quickly than getting on the outs with somebody. And, we always say there's a lot of sinners under one roof here. And so naturally you're going to rub each other the wrong way sometimes, right? So Darla, you talk to a lot of families, you work a lot on communication.
Yes.
When does this start? I mean, is this like as soon as the baby comes out, we're going to teach them how we communicate? When do we have to start really worrying about doing it well?
Right?
One thing that's great about kids is they love you.
Yeah.
They love you so much. And
but
so
it's scary,
never too
though.
late. It's never too late, because everything we do is leadership. And it's also important to demonstrate how to pivot and be like, hey, the communication has been this way up to this point, and I can take some ownership for how I've contributed to that. I'm really going to be working on changing how I do this. Okay. So it's never too late. You can start. What's the famous proverb is, the best time to plant a year is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today.
I didn't think I had a problem like communicating until I had a child who communicated the exact same that I did.
And you're like,
tell us more, Shay.
No, thank you. That was it.
Most people know how to say what they're feeling. Most people know how to communicate what they are feeling. But what we're probably dealing with is the other part of communication, which is listening.
Mm.
and the invisible part of the communication issues, which is often emotionally regulating. It's not that you don't know what to say. It's just you don't really love how you say it when you're escalated.
Mm.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to unpack emotional regulating for us?
Always.
Like we are children. Because
Yes,
like
please talk to me like we're 5.
yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's sometimes we're very peaceful and calm.
Mm.
And when we are, we're really good listeners and we're probably really great communicators. But sometimes we start to feel a little bit attacked or unsafe or misunderstood or judged or any of those things that can kind of get us a little nervous, and we start to kind of tense up. And then we go into protect me mode.
Mm.
Well, they can't say that about me. They can't take this from me. They can't do this to me. They can't treat me this way. And then we start looking at our most important relationships, the ones we live with, as like enemy, totally subconsciously. We don't mean to do that, but we are. All of a sudden, this becomes like a territory and more battle than building, right? And so when it comes to communication, when it's conflict, the value of working through conflict is that we get to grow. We're not trying to tear each other down. We're trying to build something better. And so the most important communication skill is the apology. This is the most, so if you don't learn any other thing, most important communication skill is the apology. I like to say 3-part apology. Here's what I did. Here's why it was wrong. Here's what I'm going to try to do next time.
Mm. I love that. You try to tell, you start that really early with kids when they're like, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You're like,
Right?
that doesn't really work. I'm feeling nothing.
Like, yeah. But we get to do it
doesn't
first.
feel like it costs you anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, are we clear now? I think that it's better just to model it. We can teach it. Mm-hmm. They will really notice it when we model it, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Even when, we probably have like valid reasons to be frustrated. Like, we are dealing with people who are a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
that's right.
We are also works in progress, but they are like really in a building stage. And so they can hurt our feelings. They may do things, whether it was their intention or not, that like hurts us.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing.
I think that's kind of shocking as a parent when you're like,
oh my goodness,
that little person just hurt me.
Oh, yeah.
What? Yeah.
And when we're dealing with adults, when somebody hurts your feelings, you're like, well, now I'm allowed to come hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
It's okay. Pretty sure that's in the Bible. I'm not sure. Right. And so we're gonna drop the ball plenty. We're gonna notice too late that we should have calmed down. And we're gonna maybe lose our cool. And what a perfect opportunity to lead a sincere apology.
Okay, I have 2-part question here. Mm-hmm. First off, I want you to give kind of a bird's eye view to the listener. What is and should be our goal in our home when it comes to communication? Because I think this is one of those, the apple doesn't fall from the tree, how we dealt with turmoil, how we dealt with apologies in our home growing up is often what we end up doing subconsciously in our home with our children. And so people might not even be aware that communication is faulted in their homes. So what is your kind of bird's eye view of like, hey, this is kind of what the parameters of healthy communication should be like? That's my first question. But I also didn't want to forget this idea of, you say apology is kind of the first step in communication. I know we're getting a bit into theological stuff here, but in our house, we don't actually really say sorry. We say, please forgive me. And my camera just died, which I'll deal with in a second. But
okay, go ahead.
But there's a lot of reasons for that. One, because we do see it as a sin issue. And so we have to deal with it in a theological way, in a faith-based way, which is sort of humbling yourself and saying, here's this action here. I'm actually throwing myself at your feet. No excuses. No, but I felt this way. No, sorry. Right. Sorry you felt that way. But like actually just saying, I screwed up. Please forgive me. So go.
I do like that. I like adding that asking for forgiveness piece. Fun side tangent, but I'm going to keep it super quick. What I love about translations of the Bible, they talk about forgiveness there. In the fruits of the Spirit, they say forbearance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a budgeting word. That is, this person owes me and I'm not going to make them pay. And
is that
I love that because it's not sweeping it under the rug. It's forbearing
yeah.
debt. It's about debt. This person
Yeah.
owes me. I'm not going to make them pay. That's not saying, oh, well, never mind. You actually didn't owe me. Never mind. It's okay that you did that.
That's right.
And I'm okay with it. It's saying, no, thank you for owning it. That was wrong, but I'm not going to make you pay for it.
Mm.
That's right.
So
I love that.
I try to explain to my kids. I have a couple kids that are like, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no, it does
Like,
matter.
and I'm like,
that's why I do like
actually,
the 3-part. Like
it does. It does matter. Like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is forbearance a substitute for long suffering in that passage? What is that? What is that word?
It's instead of just forgiveness. It's just the elaborated
Okay.
word for forgiveness.
Okay.
Okay. This is also, I did not make this up, but this is like in a summary. Effective communication would be seek first to understand and then to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really think, I mean, I understand that would seem like a moral request. Like, well, you should understand others and then you can be understood. But it's also a great strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people are busy trying to defend themselves and to make you understand them, that's not when they're doing their best understanding and listening.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be probably my real first thing. But
understanding, not, I guess I feel like with that idea can come like a toxicity, like a manipulation, like I'm going to seek to understand so then I can strategically get my point across when it's my turn.
It can be.
It
can be. Trust would be really important here.
Yeah.
Right? Because what I'm really trying to do is connect and say, I bet when I tell you to do this, you're probably hearing that I don't think you're good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure that I don't push at you and add to that shame script you have in your head by being mindful of that as I decide how to ask you for help.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about leveraging. It's really about compassion and connection. Mm-hmm. When we are living with people, we know exactly what to say to be hurtful. Mm-hmm. And seeking to understand is not meant to be, leveraging only to be right. It's just effective, because if I'm talking to somebody who's already feeling inadequate and I am kind of sloppy with my word choice, I'm going to make it worse and we're not going to get anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk kind of about like goals in a family, what should the goals of a family communication be? I don't know for every person, right? This is where it's really great to go to therapy. Well, here's my first go to therapy plug. Go to therapy. Mm-hmm. Really, it's great I do a lot of parent coaching. I love doing parent coaching. And one of the things I always do with parents is, what are your goals as parents? What are you hoping your outcome of your work is going to look like? Okay. And that would really inform the communication goals. Mm-hmm. But I do think that respect is a part of it, even when we're talking about that division of like, we are the parents, you are the kids. Mm-hmm. But we still are going to be asking you to respect us, and we're your teachers. So we need to demonstrate that too. Where are you going to see it? The internet?
Right. Right.
Where are we hoping they learn it?
Right.
So, but if we're really working on kids that are going to have high self-esteem, or they're going to be empowered and they're going to be go-getters, well, we want to really make sure our words are dripping in things that build that up and call that out in them. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean we're coddling them. That just means like, hey, I really see that you have leadership capability. And so I'm going to hold you to a higher standard here. Mm-hmm. And it's always going to change based on age, but we can start this super young. Like this, healthy communication, speaking, positive, beautiful things over our kids, and also holding them to a higher standard can start as soon as they have a little standard. we can take it there.
One thing I see as an outsider looking in a lot, especially on television, is parents using their authority and using probably unresolved communication skills of their own to emotionally, manipulate their children. And it's like you said a few minutes ago, Ange, these little kids can really hurt your feelings. And it's
Can you think of
hard
an
when
example, Shay? Like from a show or
and
something that you've seen? I want to,
um
can you, or make at least a word picture for people?
I mean, have you guys seen any of the Home Alones?
oh thank you for saying that, Darla, because we just watched Home Alone the other day, and I was like, what on earth is going on in this family?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are
Um,
definitely what we call they're being terror downers, not Bill Brothers.
Terror downers.
Yeah,
Look
they
what
are.
you
look
did,
what
you
you did, you
little
little jerk.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, kids. Every time they look over
That's
me, they're like, we're not going to say it. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, and it's the scene where Buzz apologizes, right? And he emotionally manipulates because he's obviously been taught in this family scenario like that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And also then that's how you get out of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you see it a lot. You see a lot of I would say immature communication. Um, Stu always says, "Don't be surprised when the world whirls," and also don't be surprised when kids kid, right? They are immature, and so in my mind, we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but I always try to separate maturity things versus morality things. And um, morality things, we really do need to we need to get in there and we need to shape it and move it. And the farting when I asked you not to, we're still going to deal with that, but I know that's probably also something that you're going to grow out of as you mature. Okay. Um, But my point is, you end up with a bunch of adults who haven't done this work, maybe of breaking out of a toxic mold of things that they grew up in, and then what they do is they hold that over their kids, and they end up using emotions. You made me feel like this. Well, I'm sorry I yelled at you, but when you said that, you just made me feel like I don't do anything for you, and it becomes this terrible, terrible cycle. You see this a lot with families in
Oh, I
particular,
mean,
like
this
this
happens all the
emotional.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even go to Walmart. I mean, I can't because I'm going to be like, you don't mean
Why Walmart, Darla?
You don't mean that.
that. I can't do it. I'm never going in.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really common because we all bring into every conversation. I think we even briefly talked on this last time I was on your show. We're all bringing our own stuff. We're bringing our wounds, and we're always looking, do you agree with the ways that I feel self-conscious or my self-esteem is low? And so we can get triggered. So I think that's probably the super important part. We need to be aware of our own stuff. I need to know when I'm just in a mood. I need to know when I'm having one of those days where I feel like I kind of can't get anything right.
Yeah.
That happens. It's my job just to know that about myself so that I know when something pushes against that and it is from my kids, I don't breathe fire on anyone.
Yeah.
I'm
exactly
like, oh,
what it is too.
That's just kind of like my deal. And so I know to be like, these are our hand gestures, right? That's them. This is me.
Yeah.
This is me. And I can kind of take my second. It's okay if you need minutes away. One thing that I've found to be super helpful with regulation, we've talked about it before. I'm a mover. I like to use movement to help me stay regulated. I need a place for all my tornado energy to go. And I do that regularly. And so I think it is important to recognize that some of these tools are things we have to do outside of a moment of communication. When I'm out moving my body, I'm improving my communication that I'm going to bring home to my most important relationships. It is about regularly
sometimes
doing
moving forward is actually saying, I'm actually going to come back to this.
Yeah.
This is important to me. I want to be able to
Yes.
do it well. I'm going to come back to it. Give me 5 or 10 or 15.
You said such an important thing. You said such an important thing. It's the promise to return. So a lot of times parents can think they're doing this well because they're just going to walk away. We have the avoidant attachment here. That this is too much, I'm going to walk away. And it's so important that you said that, Shay, because that is not what I'm saying. You cannot just be like, you've upset, this is what's going to be heard. So this is something I want to make sure we talk about later, but What are we communicating? But what are they going to hear? So here's what they're going to hear. I've said something that has made it so my mom cannot be around me. And now she's going to leave me here. And now I'm going to feel punished by her absence. And I'm going to wonder what I did wrong to make her not love me enough to stay this moment. So how do we do it well? Promise to return. I love you too much to have this conversation while I'm just kind of dealing with my own big feelings. Okay. And so we can communicate that by saying, okay, this feels important. I'm feeling like I need a couple minutes to think. I'm going to come back and we're going to have this conversation in half an hour. Is there anything you need before I go? Okay. And I love, age dependent, relationship dependent, I'd love to show a little bit of contact here. All right. I love you. This is not an emergency. We're going to come talk about it soon. That promise to return is the difference between the fear response of watching a frustrated parent walk away.
I don't want to throw my mom under the bus, but I'm going to. No, like I have this memory, something happened and she didn't mean it. She just was having a bad day. I'm sure we were making her crazy. But my brother and I were little and we were fighting in the back seat. And she had to get out and mail a letter. And she said, sometimes you guys just make me want to not come back. Or that's my childhood memory. I was probably 7 or 8. That's what I remember. I'm not going to hold her to that. But and she got out, slammed the door, put the mail in the mailbox and came back. But the feeling was like, I mean, and she didn't mean it. She was having
everyone could say that at some point they felt that,
right. You're like, we've all felt that. Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe she did mean it. I mean, it sounds like she just spoke honestly.
Well, but I'm just saying, like she wasn't going to, And that's why I mean, I don't want to throw her under the bus, because as mothers, we all know we've been there.
That's right.
But I'm speaking from the child's standpoint. I remember that planted insecurity of if I frustrate someone enough,
that's right.
They're going to go.
Yeah. And this kind of goes to, this would be something that would inform a family's goals for communication. Okay. So that would be one of those family values is we want to show, one of our goals in family communication is that we are always returning to one another. We are always coming back to one another, right? So that security piece of conflict doesn't mean anybody is at risk. It just means we're having something we're working towards or working through to build relationship. And so we are going to make sure all of our words support that idea,
right? That
we are growing together. And sometimes there are growing pains, and that's okay. So almost normalizing, this is something I actually say to all of my kids. This is our little thing. You'll always be my baby. I'll always be your mommy. We'll always make each other bonkers, and we bonk each other's heads. I do that to normalize, we are going to get under each other's skin. And it's funny because there are times, where we are getting under each other's skin. It's the design of our relationship. We are going to be at odds occasionally. And I'll be like, my dude, you are making me bonkers right now. And it just brings that lighthearted moment. Or I have one of my kids, he'll be like, bonkers. I'm like, absolutely bonkers, but I love you. Right. So it's kind of we normalize it. There's going to be, our relationship is not threatened by this little stuff. Okay. So I think it's something a skill to be thinking about. Do we want a practical skill?
Always.
Okay. Always. Okay. Here's my favorite skill. Establish language outside of a moment. Establish language outside of a moment. So that means everybody's fine. We're doing something. We're just kind of hanging out. And you say, I've been thinking the other day, we were just dealing with trying to get out the door. This is a good one because why is it so hard? We were trying to get out the door. And I feel like I was trying to use my gentle voice. And I was saying we need to leave in 10 minutes. So we're going to be packing up our this and, again, age appropriate, whatever we're doing. And then it was time to go, and you hadn't really followed through. And I trusted you to follow through so that the team could leave. And then I had to get more serious and use a more serious voice. And then I still wasn't seeing that you were listening or showing me that you were listening and heard. And then I had to raise my volume. And then I totally lost my cool, which we talked about when I apologized. But I keep coming back to, I want to know what works for you. So then we get to interview our kids. And again, this is always going to be different based on their ages, different on their accountability levels, right? When they're little, and we are asking them to do it, we are always following through with our bodies. It is time to do this. It looks like you're needing extra help to move on from this super fun thing to something lame like brushing your teeth. Right. There's the physical follow through there. But when they're older, we do need to see that they're hearing us. And so the interview, tailor it to whatever age group we're talking about. But it sounds kind of like this. Okay, what's your preference here? What's your favorite way for us to kind of do the thing the team needs to do, right? We got to kind of move from point A to point B. Sometimes we got to do a task. Teamwork is one of my established language pieces in my family. We talk about teamwork all the time. So I agree. When the team does need something, what works for you? How do you want me to tell you? And then they can be like, well, I really want just kind of a calm voice, right? What every kid wants. I'm like, okay, perfect.
Yeah. Every kid wants a calm voice.
Right. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Me too. That's my favorite way. I'm typically, even if we're doing something boring, if I'm with you, I'm having a good day. I love to be with you, but I don't like when I have to get more serious and more serious. And I always say I don't make my kids don't make me yell. And I try not to, shrill.
Yeah.
But I say I'll announce, I'll be I'm going to have to say it a little bit more serious. So you establish that interview to say, okay, so it's your preference for us to just kind of be team, right? All right, let's be working on that. I'm going to work on really making sure to do that. Because I can see that. I think that sounds great. I think we'd all have a lot more fun if we could try to work on that more. And I'm telling you, I'm committing to trying that. So
you
now
have to use the Batman voice. Right. I said in the car.
Right.
So fine, I'm driving away without you. It's okay to think it.
Threats? We get to threaten? Perfect.
Yes, officially on the record, I would like to encourage you to threaten. So here's where this is great. We have buy-in. No one's escalated, okay? Escalated ears cannot hear.
Yeah.
Okay? So we need to have this conversation when we've got somebody with all the lights on, okay? Now in the moment, all right, guys, it's time to go. You pull over to this kid and you're like, hey, I've already done the really calm. It's time to go. I am going to have to start getting more serious because now it is time. Is there anything you need? And they will, you will be so surprised. You will be so surprised because that is respectful. It is kind. It is their idea. And now we get to partner with somebody about building family culture. And that builds their self-esteem too. You are a part of our family culture and I care. I care about what you need.
Yeah. So we use the team analogy
love it.
A lot as well, right? We always say we're Team Elliot. I'm going to tell you where this breaks down for us, Darla. The kid to kid communication, because you're dealing with not a ton of emotional regulation. You're dealing with immaturity. You're dealing with all the things that come along with being a kid, feeling these things out. Then you're dealing with the threat of another sibling. And when we try to deal with these bickering moments, we're on the same team. So our words need to be for each other. We need to be building each other up with our words. We need to be helping each other with our words. If somebody else says, hurtful words to your sibling, you are on Team Elliot. So you don't gang up on this sibling, right? You're protecting them because they're on your team. That's tough. The kid to kid communication, because while you can pull them aside and say, okay, and how does this work? But then when you have them kind of going at each other and you're the referee in the middle,
Mhm.
That's some tough ground to cover. I wasn't prepared for
Mhm.
the bickering that comes along with
Yeah,
teenage
for sure.
stuff.
It's a spicy time.
It's
It's
a
a really spicy
spicy
time.
time.
Yeah, when you got a house full of leaders, you're like, too many leaders.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, we did something when the kids were young that worked really well. Now it's a little bit more automated. It's not so, we don't have to hold hands with it so much, but we did leader of the day. We did a leader
Mhm.
log. Right now it's very simple. It's like one piece of laminated paper and there's jobs. But what I did was every kid had a data lead, including the youngest kid. And
Mm.
we were able to build a lot of language outside the moment about, okay, how do you prefer to be led? How do you, what kind of people
Mm.
are comfortable for you to lead? What kind of people, what makes it easier, right? So those conversations were very helpful in shaping it. I love doing sibling interviews as well. So similar to what we just said, what do you prefer? Okay. You know your kids best. So you have to determine if you think this is something they need to do in the room together,
Mhm.
or if you get to just do this with your own kid. You know that you've got a couple kids,
Mm.
maybe specifically who've got some friction. As much as possible, I really want to make it my kids' responsibility to resolve conflict. They need training. It's hard to do.
Yep.
And so it's
Oh,
like it's tiring. Like here it'll
it's
be
so
So
like at the
tiring.
end of the day
yeah,
and somebody doesn't want to go to bed yet because it's not resolved. I'm like, but
yeah.
I do.
And we are talking
I
like, let's be
do.
realistic. Are we talking about one conflict a day? Probably not.
No.
It is
No.
probably, and so
17.
you're like,
17.
there are
Yeah.
going to be times where you just have to be like, no,
Yeah.
like there
Yep.
are going to be times.
Right.
And so this is for those other times. Again, we're going to have this outside of the moment. Hey, I'm really noticing that like I'm seeing a lot of sparks fly here.
Yeah.
What's it been like for you? Okay. And just
Mhm.
here, like, because they've got feelings about it. This kid always gets his way. They get away with everything. I have to do
Yep.
everything they don't. Or
Yeah.
this kid gets the most attention. And hear it and be like, okay, I can see that. And now that I know that, I can really understand why you're feeling this because it's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also know the other kid. And I know that this other kid is, the dynamic is going to be at play here, looking at you and like looking up to you and just wanting time with you. And like
Right.
it thinks you hung the moon and stars, right? And all these things. And so then here comes the interview. So you hear, okay, you help a little bit explain. And then you get to say, how do you want your sibling to feel when you walk in the room?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. We've had
What's the benefit?
chapters here where it's like you can see the dread. Like, oh boy, here it comes. They just
Yep.
walked in the room. I hate
Yep.
that. I want to hold that thought. Say thank you
Mhm.
to a few more
Of
sponsors.
course, of course.
I'd like to thank American Blossom Linens. We're always encouraging you to make your home sing, and when you're investing in pieces for your home, to think about investing for a lifetime or for as long as you can, not just running to Target with every whim, every season. Bedroom needs a freshen up. Partner with American Blossom Linens. Select some of their beautiful sheets, blankets, pillowcases, duvets, quilts, baby blankets. Absolutely beautiful. The cotton is grown here in America. The factories where these linens are made right here in America. We know the owners, Janet and her team, and we know you're going to love these. They get softer with every washing. They are woven to last a lifetime. The sheets on my bed are quite a few years now, and all the kids have them, and we're no longer having to like just do that, like, oh, run to TJ Maxx, replace, freshen up bit.
Yep.
And so I really, really invite you, if you've been listening to the show for a long time and you still haven't tried American Blossom Linens, now is the time. You can go to their website, AmericanBlossomLinens.com, and get 20% off. Use the code SING20 because we're making it sing this season. So use the code SING20 at AmericanBlossomLinens.com. Thank you to Janet and her team.
And while you're doing your shopping, you can visit branchbasics.com and use the code HOMEMAKER CHIC, all one word, for 15% off of their starter kits. We're talking about emotionally affecting the aroma of our home today, but you also can physically affect the aroma of your home by making sure that your cleaning products are ones that you can get behind, ones that are free of artificial fragrances and hormone disruptors, ones that are safe to use around your pets and your kids. And of course, everyone's favorite, it's super cost effective. With Branch Basics, you get a cleaner concentrate, you get your bottles, you dilute the cleaner concentrate down with water, and then you can use them for everything from cleaning your floors to your tubs to your showers to your windows. So branchbasics.com, Homemaker Chic, all one word, for 15% off of their starter kits. And check out their new laundry detergent. It's best selling. It works so well. This is a fantastic company, and we're grateful that they're sponsors of Homemaker Chic podcast.
Awesome. Okay, so we were talking about the dynamic between siblings and like, how do you want to feel when the other person walks in the room?
How do you want them to feel?
Or how do you want them to
walk
feel?
into the room?
Yeah.
Because again, I really want my kids, I want their relationships with one another to be their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a peacekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a peacemaker. I help to establish peace, but I am not just going to like eliminate their conflict and apologize for them and just try to like, oh no, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not going to gain any chops. Sibling relationships are tough.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we're talking about teamwork, you know, like sometimes they're not going to feel like they're on the team. Sometimes their sibling is going to feel like a threat and like an enemy. And that's hard to tolerate. How do you deal with it when you just disagree so much with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
or you just feel so hurt by them? Well, I think that that's a skill, and it's our job to help them grow in these skills. And so really helping them notice the way they can participate and interrupt their conflict cycle.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's just
Sometimes-
so many variables too. You know, you have
Mm-hmm.
Different spouses that have a different tolerance for what's happening in the room, that notice things or don't notice things. You have, you know, you have ADD, ADHD, kids that get like a real dopamine hit from being turds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they love it. It feels good. You know, there's just so
and
many.
That's where
there's a lot. You know,
there's a lot, and there is a role for parents to help make sure everybody has an opportunity to be safe. And I don't just mean physically safe. I mean, like everybody has a way out, so they're not backed into a corner. Like everybody has another option.
what does that actually look like?
What that means is our policy is like, I need you to try to solve the problem. What have you done to try to solve the problem? I also will offer, have you talked to them about it? No. Like say somebody comes to tell me something. Mm-hmm. Have you talked to them about it yet? No. Do you want me to be there when you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right? Like if we're starting at square one, like I'm not going to just send them to the wolves.
Right.
You want me to be there when you do? I can be there.
I'm
just here to support. Like I'm a not neutral third party. I love you both fiercely third party. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to help you guys get through something. But I really am going to let them work it out as much as possible. And they're allowed to talk to me about it. And they can talk to me about the feelings that are like ones we're not going to really maybe share to the sibling. Like how much you don't like them right now. Mm-hmm. I can help call them higher. Like, okay, but how can you be loving? Even though, and in this case, you feel right and you really want to be understood. What's our best way to do it? Mm-hmm. And so making it their responsibility is actually empowering. You have the power to choose in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, you have the power to choose. Nobody can make you do anything, right? Like somebody cannot force you to do what they want you to do. And so again, the other out I give them, right, to keep them safe and other practical is like, if you've already tried and they're pushing this boundary or this boundary, you come right to me. Mm-hmm. You can try once, but if they don't listen to you, that's why just come to me. It's not your job to make them obey house rules. It's not your job to make them obey you. And you are allowed to come to me. It's actually my job to make them do that. And so having that clear, it's not your job, can also be very freeing, especially if we have a very responsible kid. Mm-hmm. Like, because you have an internal sense of justice and right and wrong, and you see something that you are probably accurate that I would not be allowing. And you want to do like vigilante stuff about it.
We call it park ranger.
Gosh, that is so perfect. Oh, that is so perfect. And so, you can report that to me if somebody's at risk, but also we have to, these side conversations that we have with our kids, because we're always shepherding them, is like, that's really hard for you to notice them getting away with doing something that's not right. Mm-hmm. I can tell. Why?
So
We just have those conversations.
sometimes I threaten my children. Maybe that's a harsh word.
Tenderly.
Maybe this is emotional manipulation. Maybe you can tell me. I have one child in particular that's pretty motivated at the idea of being married. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I always say the way that you treat your sibling, the way that you treat your sisters is a reflection of how you will treat your wife. This is training ground for when you go out and your wife says something that you don't like, or she doesn't pick up, or she doesn't do exactly what you want her to do, or et cetera, et cetera. And so I've tried to paint it this like it's important that we do this because it's connected to all these other pieces of life. Is that emotional manipulation? Now that I say it out loud, it
I
might
think
be.
it's about knowing a currency. We always have to know what makes our kids tick. If that's what works, if that's what is going to help him connect it, because I am married and it is very much like a sibling relationship sometimes. It's actually not that. It's not inaccurate. It's not inaccurate. And so anything to try to make it real to them, like this is not the last time you're going to have to tolerate somebody who disagrees with you.
That's right. Or living with somebody who has different rules about cleanliness or
I do like
order or food
word,
yeah, it's currency. Everybody has something that's going to make it click.
I'm married to someone who doesn't get the currency. He's always like saying like someday when you're married and the two people that don't want to get married, for example, and they're like, what? That doesn't even like, I don't know. The current, I like that idea.
Great. Now I'm not going to get married even harder.
Exactly. No, that's what it does. It's like, I see you and I raise your, I'm doubling down.
Yes. Okay. And I think that while we're talking about this, I'm going to repeat something I said before, which is escalated ears cannot hear. There are times when we are dealing with conflict with anywhere across the family diagram. And if we're too upset, nothing productive is going to happen. There are even times when we're having parenting conversations with a kid who is clearly upset and it's their fault. And we want to be like, don't you see that escalated ears cannot hear. First job is to calm the body. This conversation, yes, we're going to have a conversation, but not yet. First, we got to communicate those family values that we talked about before, which is like, you're okay. I love you. This has not touched my love for you at all. We're going to be okay. And just sit there. I mean, depending on your kid and what's hard for them about regulating, you just try to co-regulate with them, like invite them into wait it out, be patient. Okay. And you can, you know what, if you know your kid enough to know that you can't even have this conversation today, no problem. Have it tomorrow. Communicate that you're going to have it tomorrow. Follow through that you're going to have it tomorrow. But a lot of this stuff is not urgent. In the moment, it feels so urgent because it was so loud and it was so big and everybody's so upset. But if it's a big deal, it'll still be a big deal later. We'll just be better at handling it.
It's true. I think believers get really caught up on don't let the sun go down on your anger, and they think,
let it go
stay up
down
till 2 in the morning and work this out.
I have so much beef with that. Just let it go down. Plus, sun goes down too early half the year anyway. Let it go.
What happens if you live in Sweden? I mean,
you've got 5 minutes.
No, there comes a point for me. It's about 8:00. I lose the ability to manage emotions after 8:00. I really do. I'm not good.
Helpful.
We're not going to have a good conversation. We're not going to solve anything. I'll tell you that. Like my brain shuts off. So
I just have so much. I just want to validate that sensibility. It's just, there's no reason. There's no reason in secure relationships. There's no ticking clock. Even when you're dealing, if you have kids who are just like upset, I don't know if any of us have, maybe teenagers. And like all of a sudden it's 9:00 and it's like, oh, we have lots of emotions right now. And we want to talk about the emotions. And I always say, okay, the great news is we don't need to figure anything out or solve anything right now. We just need to calm your body down. We'll do figuring out and solving tomorrow. Right now, you are done figuring out and solving for the day.
Yep. I just make my kids take a shower. Go take a shower. We'll talk tomorrow. That's where it usually goes. Like,
write it down. It's great. And I'm the same way. I'm the same way. There's no real reason to force something in a moment. Like, well, we got to figure this out. It's like,
Yeah.
we don't need to do Thunderdome in this house.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to again, you can have a pause. I love it when we can communicate that we're going to return.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it just reiterates the safety of the family too. Like this is a permanent institution, so we can handle
Yeah.
24 hours, you know?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
I love you. This is going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And just showing how to regulate, because I think what we deal with is our threshold of tolerance. When we notice our kids conflict or between us, how they respond to us, there is something that is completely throwing them out of their threshold of tolerance. And what we need to do is help them return to that safety piece, to return to like, okay, I'm okay. Now we'll look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What can we do? And, bringing in that like growth mindset versus fixed mindset. They're never gonna, okay, well, maybe you feel that they don't treat you that way today, but let's not say never. What can we work on? Is there any, and then again, just that personal accountability, the same personal accountability we need when it's their turn to apologize. We are always encouraging, in a trusting, healthy relationship context, we're always encouraging appropriate accountability. Even when we're the ones with hurt feelings, we do want to say, we're all a part of our family system. We're all a part of our family culture. There are times that we might need to have more boundaries because we're letting, or people are making us do this, or we're letting them do that. And so encouraging accountability encourages or helps them to not feel like helpless.
Okay. I want to come back to a really important point. Which, okay, I'm going to try to remember, but first I'm going to say thank you to Tubes & Co for sponsoring Homemaker Chic. I really hope I don't lose my train of thought here. I'd like to invite you all to visit Toups, TOUPS, and co.com and give their incredible skincare and makeup a try, and make sure that you use code HMC10 for 10% off. Their products are made right here in the USA. You can go and visit their website, pull up any product, and you'll be able to read all of their ingredients. They're all sustainably sourced, fair trade, very transparent and ethical sourcing. Very good communication, one could say, about how they make their products, why they make them this way. If you have sensitivities, this is such a great company for you to check out, because they have everything from face wash to toners to deodorants to mascaras, all made without any preservatives or chemicals. And you can get 10% off by using the code HMC10. So whether you need makeup, blushes, bronzers, foundations, concealers, or just some really luxurious skincare, when you treat yourself at the end of the day for being such a great communicator, maybe this is how you calm your body down. You oil your face, take a few deep breaths. You can find it all at toupsandco.com and use the code HMC10 for 10% off. Okay, Darla, what if somebody is listening to this and they listen to it because they think, yes, our family needs some communication help. But what if things are like really, really, really bad? Like this is just a wreck. Maybe they're working themselves on regulating their emotions. They're working on wanting to implement some of these things. But as we all know, we don't make our spouses do anything.
Right.
We can't make other people in our home, our children, do anything. What if things are really tangled? Where does somebody start from a place like that?
It kind of depends on in which ways they're tangled, right? This is where there's no one size fits all approach. And I would say most people have complicated communication in their families, right? And most complicated things are pretty tangled. We have a lot of, like you said, we're bringing our own stuff. We've got our own families and our own patterns. And this is where I just obviously think it's
Therapy.
really important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have seen marriages change by the spouse you wouldn't think needs to be in therapy going to therapy. Because we are in a system. We are cogs in a machine. We're like the inside of a clock. And if one person moves, the rest of the system will adapt. The family system is always looking for that homeostasis, that even ground. And we can move to a higher level and it will invite up. And if it doesn't, we have plenty more information to work with there. But for the most part, we can change how we participate in a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to take the bait when somebody with a victim mentality is pushing on us until we become the villain, and then they get their way. They get to be a victim. We don't need to take the bait.
Mm-hmm.
We can say, that's crazy. All right, well, let me know when you talk about it. And there are
So it's
ways.
like that whole you can't change other people, you can only change yourself sort of a thing.
Yeah.
I mean that
and we can notice the way it's really hard for us to be misunderstood by somebody. Like, well, I thought if I just explained it enough or maybe louder, or maybe they would understand me and then everything would be okay. We are bringing our own stuff to this too. And so we can be free and show up more free. We can work on our regulation and show up more regulated. And a regulated person really throws off the cycle. Right. And so that support piece is huge. I do love looking at therapy as just support. I love I do a lot, like I said, parent coaching, love parent coaching. I actually require it whenever I'm working with younger kids. We switch off every other session. I'm just with the parent. I'm like, all right, what are we doing? How's it working? Right. What have you tried? Because I can be in the room and I love being in the room with my buddies. But that's 1 hour of their week.
Right.
And
right.
The rest of it isn't going to happen at home. So go get on there, find a therapist in your area. I do share some of this stuff on social media. You can follow me along there of just these, like, how are we going to say what we mean here? And how are we going to communicate? And that, again, parent coaching specifically is going to help you work with somebody who can see it from the outside and you're like, this is my kid. This is what I see in them, but this is what they're kind of doing right now. How do we put these two things together and really call them up?
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it should be that difficult when you think something and you want to say it. It shouldn't be that hard to like make it come out in the right way.
I don't think it would be if we didn't also have to do everything else, And if nothing bad ever happened in our lives, we're like, now we're grieving. And now I still have to try to get my kid to put shoes on. Like, how is that fair?
Right.
And then not to mention like all of the pressure on women to like really nail it all the time.
What?
And then the shame piece that comes in when we mess up, we're going to mess up.
Right.
We were going to mess up. But really, we've seen that kids who have parents who apologize well, it's almost as if they've never messed up. It's so healing and validating to have a parent who will apologize well.
So that let that be your takeaway, ladies.
Yeah. Right.
Really just, you just need to know a solid. Yeah.
Sorry, Ange, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I didn't know if we were done on time. It sounded like a wrap.
We are done on time.
We are. Okay.
I have one last takeaway.
All right.
Okay.
Give it.
Okay. I mentioned it before, but I just want to say it again. We are the leaders and the keepers of the system. We can see it. We can see where the hurt is. We can see all this. There are times where we need to kind of shake up the system a bit. Some people need a little bit more responsibility. Some people need a little bit more space. Like maybe they've had too much responsibility and they actually just like need to go be a kid. Some people in the family need to go like hang out with friends or have a hobby that's different than like the family hobby. Everybody has to matter. And we might be able to do some things that help meet some needs for people that isn't about directly communicating or directly handling the conflict, but it's just kind of shaking things up where we can like, let's zoom out, stay really creative. We're like, well, what does this person really need? How can we help them? And then always to be noticing the difference between intention and impact. So maybe our kids intended one thing, but the impact was something else. Help them to see that. And for ourselves, maybe our intention was one thing and the impact was maybe a little bit different. Even if we have really good intentions, we still might owe an apology about the impact kind of thing.
I love that.
Stay creative.
Just stay aware too. Just being aware that you have all these wonderful people and that's a gift. Yeah.
But I said it last time and I will always say it, like there is a lot on a woman's plate in a lot of typical family systems, and asking someone to be nicer about communication when they are drowning all the time is pretty unfair.
Mm.
And so get support. This might not be the issue you need work on. This might be a symptom of another issue. This might be somebody who is just spread too thin. Nervous system is absolutely fried, does not feel supported, does not have a strong sense of self or self-esteem. And so we are not going to sit here and be like, but be nicer. You're mean. Why are you so mad? We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Recognize too that like this could actually be a sign that you have needs that you can be, prioritizing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you get to show up better to the most important relationships of your life.
Yep.
That's so good.
So good.
I love that. Thanks, Darla.
You're welcome, guys.
You're going to have to come back.
Ladies, make sure you check out her information. You can find that in the show notes below. And we will be back here with you next Monday.
Yep.
Right, Ange?
Well,
Am I missing anything?
No. In the meantime, I just want to remind you, you can check her out on Instagram, Darla_Innis, INNIS_therapist. Darla_Innis_therapist on Instagram. Lots of good stuff there.
Yes. All right,
Thank
ladies.
you guys so much.
We'll see you next Monday. Cheers.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, Darla.
You're welcome. Thank you guys. That was fun.
I was just going to say, when I went to therapy, this was a few years ago. That's exactly what my therapist says. He's like, get a business manager and have Stuart start helping you manage the money. And then I was like, okay, I'm good now. Thank you. That's apparently what I needed.
Yeah.
I'm not psycho. Just needed some help.
Truly. And it's just, we just have such a high threshold for like chaos. And we're like, we're fine. And like, you're not,
Totally.
yeah, not fine. This is not what someone sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Love it. All right. Angela, I'm going to need your audio from Darla's recording because my internet was iffy for one part of it.
So you want my Zoom audio?
Yeah, it cut out and then it came back in when you were running the ABL ad. So if I can have yours as backup, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I gotta go.
Doing anything tonight?
I'm gonna go get telemetry for my hawk. But then I'm gonna probably do Valentine's stuff.
Wait, telemetry for your hawk?
I didn't even tell
what does
Shay
that
about
even
the
mean?
hawk yet. I didn't even tell Shay yet.
Like
Shay,
a hawk, like a flying hawk?
I'm a
you won't believe it.
falconer.
She's a falconer.
So badass.
I told you. Like,
I hope you wear like furs, like Mongolian furs.
I know, right? Honestly, she would probably attack me if I did. I wear her Carhartt bibs.
Yeah.
And I go kick around. I was out flying her today. She's awesome. She's so fun. She's a red-tailed hawk. Mm-hmm.
She caught her like
cool.
45 days ago or something. She had to catch her certain season. Yeah.
Trapped her in the wild.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's really awesome. I mean, it is actually really cool. I love it.
So cool.
She literally follows me in the woods. So I walk through the woods. I throw her up in a tree. She's completely free. She could fly away. And then I walk and I try to kick up rabbits and squirrels and stuff. And she flies tree to tree as high as she can, the highest perch she can find over my head, just walking through the woods. And I hear her little bells. Flipping love it.
It's like my side of the mountain.
It is
frightful.
It's frightful.
Well, it's frightful.
It's frightful. That my son read the book when he was like 5, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. So
yeah. Oh, that's so fun. Get it, girl.
Super cool.
Yes. Okay,
All
you
right.
guys, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Let me know anytime. I love it.
It should just be it should be once a season because
put me on.
People
I
really
love it.
liked
If you get listener questions or anything like that, I would just love to.
Well, and I'm glad now you have a feed that's dedicated to the topic.
So. Yeah, and if you even could go, if you have someone who could go back and tag my actual.
We do have someone. You know her. Her name's Angela.
Tag what? Sorry.
My old one, you tagged my personal Instagram, which because I didn't have a different one.
Oh, switch it.
Yeah.
But I do get random followers from that, and I don't accept them because I don't do that. But I would love
this one
to
will be better.
Yeah, so now that's part of.
Do you have any idea when that was?
Yeah, it was summer. I was riding a bike. It was summer. Could have been June or July
of 23,
24.
Oh, it was that recent?
What?
Yeah, I was on my blue bike. I didn't get that till May. Yeah.
So 23.
Time is a vortex.
It seems like
No,
we're
24. 24.
Okay.
Yes, 25 now. This past summer was 24.
Okay.
No, it was before
I
that.
feel like it was before
it?
then. I feel like it's
I
been
think
a really long time since you've been on. I think
Yeah.
my desk was on that side of the room.
Okay,
We'll
I
find it.
actually
We'll find
shouldn't
it,
be the
Darla.
one.
We'll
Yeah,
find it.
I
Don't
shouldn't be
worry.
the one who notices time. I don't think that should be me. Okay, talk to you guys
Okay,
later.
you guys have a great Valentine's Day. Bye.
You too.